Hello beautiful people, welcome to Diarrhea Take again. If you're new, mekaribisha sana. For return subscribers, I thank you so much for coming back again to me. So if you watched the last video that I made, I mentioned at the end of it that I'll be talking about endometriosis. If you're not new to my channel, you'll notice I've changed the settings today, and it isn't by choice, I'll put it that way, because today I'm really having a bad day and I can't bring myself to act like I'm okay, because I'm not okay. Related to today's topic, maybe you have a sister, maybe your mother, maybe your daughter, any woman who is at the edge of menstruation is able or could get endometriosis. Women have our monthly periods, and so oft are the days when, or at the times when someone is going through really bad menstruation periods, and people take it to be normal. Well, it's not normal. Let's stop normalizing pain, because pain is not normal. This video is kind of hard for me to film, but I'll try my best and explain what endometriosis is and what it's all about. So stick with me for this. A small history about where I'm coming from with this. I had my kid when I was 20, and I used to have painful menstruation periods, but they were not so extreme. And because we are brought up and we are told girls sometimes have painful menstrual periods, I thought it was normal. And this happened all through till I got my kid, which I'm so grateful to God that I have my kid, or I had my kid before it got worse. And I can't really honestly remember when it got to extremes, but I think if I can remember, if the first time I remember really going on my knees in pain because I just couldn't hold it was one time when I was working back in Kenya, and we had a promotion, and I was standing there doing the promotion, and the pain was just so excruciating that I couldn't stand straight. And still I normalized this, because the thing is, back when I was home in Kenya, I actually never once went to a gynecologist. That is something I just didn't do, and which is wrong, just to put that out there. Every woman should have a gynecologist. I know they are the most uncomfortable visits, but trust me, you need this. So I dragged along with this pain for I don't know how many years. Long story short, I finally got my diagnosis last year around, I can't remember, but last year, the beginning of last year or summer last year, I think. So I've been going around with this pain for over 10 years, not knowing exactly what's wrong with me. I didn't even know. I have diagnosed myself with so many. I had fear. I thought, oh God, or maybe I have, when you don't know what you're suffering from, we always tend as human beings to think of the worst. In my head, I was like, I'm very sure I have some kind of cancer, but I'm not ready to go and get a diagnosis for it. I thought maybe I have stomach cancer, or maybe I have cervical cancer. I was like, something is definitely wrong with my body. And I was kind of convinced it might be cancer, because I can't explain why else I'm going through the crap I'm going through. Yeah, so what is endometriosis?
We touch, we break, make it seem like we feel the same. We love
I'm sorry about the lights, but I had to make this real quick. I have to apologize because this video is longer than I thought it would be, but I just wanted to give my story, and I felt it's important for the people who are suffering from this to speak up, because if we don't speak up, people won't know about it. There's so many people, you talk to them and they have no idea what they're talking about, what you're talking about. Most people have never even heard this word, and they're like, endo what? What are you talking about? They don't even know that the disease exists. So I have to apologize for the long video, but I thought it would be important to somebody out there. So watch this. Well, I'll try to explain this as simple as I possibly can. Endometriosis is when, before you have your periods, your uterus, there is this inner lining that thickens and preparing you for motherhood or preparing you for pregnancy. So when you don't get pregnant, this thick lining that formed in your ovary in preparation for having a kid, it sheds out, and what sheds out, that is what we have as menstruation, or as monthly periods, if you call it. Now, endometriosis is so that this same lining, this tissue that builds up in your ovary, it builds up outside of your ovary. And it can build up in any organ in your body. It can build up in your pelvic, it can build up in your stomach, it can build up in your lungs, it can build up basically in any organ in your body. And when you're having your monthly periods, you shade your periods, excuse me for this using this word, but I have to use the terms because, when you're having your periods, the blood comes out through your vajayjay. When you're having endometriosis, these other endometrium tissues that formed in all these other organs in your bodies, they shed too, but then they don't have an outlet. So these tissues end up forming, what are they called? I can't find the word, but they settle, and wherever they've settled, they'll build up and build up and build up, and with time it might end up that even your organs attach to each other through the tissues that are built from this endometrium, and this causes inflammation, and that's where the whole pain comes from. So in my case, my menstrual periods will last like 10-12 days. Then I would have, let me say, a week or 2 weeks where I'm okay, and then I have my periods again. So I would have like 2 times a period in a month. And the thing is, it's not only that I would have these extreme pains during my periods, I also have pain in between. During ovulation, it's just as painful as when you're having your periods. Some of the symptoms I had, because now after getting to know what endometriosis is, I could actually place my symptoms and understand what was going on. Eating is a problem, because when I ate, I kind of honestly sometimes would feel like I can feel the food dropping in my stomach, and with this excruciating pain that I would rather starve than eat. Having bowel movements is a problem. You'd go to the toilet for like 30 minutes and with no success, because it's so damn painful that some things you have to experience to understand. Urinating is a problem. Constant constipation, constant bloating, nausea, fatigue, oh my god, constantly tired. And I can relate fatigue to, because in a month I would say I would have, let me say, 10 days when I'm very okay. I'm not, what do I mean? I have pain that I can manage, but the rest of the days I'm in pain, but I have to function. So when it comes to night, you go to bed and you're woken up with a sharp pain and you have insomnia the whole night, you're not sleeping, and the next day you're again expected to function like a normal person because nobody understands what's up with you. It's clear that you have fatigue. It's common sense, I would say, that you have fatigue. If you are constantly in pain, you are constantly cramping, you are constantly having sleepless nights because because of the pain, you just can't sleep. You're obviously tired. Our bodies need rest, but this is rest that you never get. I had to write generally some of the symptoms that people with endometriosis people with endometriosis have. Their symptoms can vary from one person to another. Endometriosis has 4 stages. There is stage 1 to stage 4. However, what's interesting about this disease, the stage you have doesn't determine the amount of pain you have. You can be having the first stage and you have more pain than someone that has stage 4 of endometriosis. So it really varies from one person to the other. And so what are some of the symptoms? I wrote this down because I knew I was going to forget. Just a sidekick. After going to doctors and going to gynecologists, when I came to Germany, now I started going to gynecologists because I was like, something's not right with me. I got tired. I got tired of going to doctors and going to gynecologists because I was like, all they do is give me pain medicine, which is not helping. I would take Novocaine. Novocaine is 500 milligrams. I would take Novocaine 2 of the 500, that is 1000 milligrams. And it would last me, I don't know, I would be 30 minutes okay, and after that I'm again incruciating pain. I would take Novocaine 1000 Tilidin before going to work. It's not that I would be pain-free. I would still be having pain, but I can function. I don't know how to explain it. I would go to work. It's not that I'm okay, but I have to work. So I would go with this pain to work. And some of my colleagues started noticing, or rather noticed, that I have problems with my stomach. When I would say problems with my stomach because they would be like, du hast Bauchweh, du hast Bauchweh, du hast schon wieder Bauchweh. And I would just say yes, because I was tired of trying to explain exactly what's wrong with me. Now, this is after I got the diagnosis endometriosis. Before that, I couldn't even tell them what my problem is because even I didn't know what my problem is. I used to go to doctors and all they would give me were painkillers, which were not really helping. Or one gynecologist I went to, and she was like, I could try, pills, which I also heard from people that pills can help, birth control pills. That did nothing for me. And I went to several doctors, and at the end of it I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to any doctor anymore because nobody is even, die nehme mich nicht wahr, die nehme mich nicht wahr. I'll write that up there. And God, it was frustrating. It was frustrating. Then one time, I don't even know how I bumped into this. I honestly don't know how I bumped into this, but I bumped into it in YouTube, and there was a lady who was talking about it, and when she talked about her symptoms, I was like, damn, what she's talking about, that is exactly what I'm going through. So that's when I started googling what's endometriosis, on that, on this, and I ended up figuring out I must be having this. So I went to my family doctor. If you'll ever watch this, Dr. Neno, thank you very much. And I went to him, and I was like, I again explained my problem. I was like, there's something that's not right with my stomach. So I wanted him, he did, what do you call this again? Now when even words disappear. Ultrasound, yeah. He did an ultrasound in my stomach, and he was like, no, I'm not seeing anything there. And I explained to him, told him what I have, the issues I'm having, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, maybe you should go to a gynecologist. And I'm like, I'm not going to any gynecologist anymore because all they do is either prescribe pain medicine or they prescribe birth control pills, which do nothing to me, and I'm tired of going there and looking like a zombie, like I don't know what I'm talking about. But I watched internet at one point, and I watched YouTube at one point, and Dr. Google, nicht Dr. Google, sondern this lady in YouTube talked about something about endometriosis, and she was like, oh, I can recommend a good doctor to you. So he recommended my gynecologist, the one I go to now, to me, and I was like, fine, I'll try that. So since I've been going to doctors and nobody seems to diagnose what I have, I was like, I'm 100% sure this is what I have, because what this lady was talking about, that's what I'm going through. So I wrote a list of every symptom I had. I come to this doctor's office. I'm sorry, I think I've even gone off topic, but yeah. I said I would talk about my story about endometriosis. Well, this is my story. Whoever is watching, thank you for sticking with me, but stick with me, and we'll get to know what the symptoms are and everything. I went to the doctor, and because I was scared that I'd go to this doctor again, and because I was so frustrated, I knew I would get emotional. I might even forget some things I wanted to say. So I wrote a list of everything I'm going through, and I came to this doctor, and she's like, hey, yeah, Frau Nyando, was kann ich für Sie tun? Was kann ich für Sie tun? I write that up there. Was kann ich für Sie heute tun? And I was like, I've been having, and I just busted into tears. When I think about it, I'm sorry. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm sorry. Some memories are just like still overwhelming. When I think about it, I again just remember how desperate I was for somebody to really take my symptoms seriously, and not to tell me that I'm building that in my head, or that maybe I should see a psychiatrist, like I have other issues. That, you know, you go to a doctor, you try to explain to him what you're going through, and because they can't find a physical symptom, they decide you have psychological issues. And I was so desperate for someone to just listen to me for once. So when I went to this doctor, I went to her after Googling her and seeing that she deals with endometriosis. I wrote this list, and at the end of the list, I had written endometriosis in capital letter. So I just busted crying, and I gave her the list. I was like, I can't talk, but these are the symptoms I have. And she read that, and then she looked at me, and she was like, Frau Nyando, when I'm looking at this list, if this is what you're going through, I know what you're going through, and that must be really endometriosis. And God, I cried. It's not normal to be happy that you've been diagnosed with a disease, but this one, I was really happy that finally this stupid thing that had been eating me up has a name. There's nothing worse than not knowing what exactly is eating you up. But God, I've never been so happy about getting a diagnosis for myself. I cried that day, like, just the relief of having somebody believe me or take what I'm talking about seriously, because it had affected every part of my life. I don't, anything you plan in your life, you have to plan it surrounding this endometriosis. So many times I would go out with my friends eating, or even at work when guys are eating, and I'm like, Julie, come, let's eat this. I'll be like, no, I can't eat that. No, I can't eat that. And it's so exhausting, because why do I have to explain every time why I can't eat this, I can't? I was tired of explaining to everyone why I can't eat this, why I can't eat that, why I'm always sleeping, why I'm always tired, why I'm always having a van flashe. That's my best friend, and I know this is meant for babies, but it's my comforter. I'm tired of explaining on that. I'm tired. Even close family members and friends who you're like, you try to explain, but they're not getting it, and they're still making jokes about it. It's not funny. Honestly speaking, it's not funny. If I broke a leg and everybody could see that my leg is broken, everybody would have understanding when I say I cannot run because my leg is broken. So just because you're not seeing the pain doesn't mean the pain is not there. Just because you're not seeing the fatigue doesn't mean the fatigue is not there. It's not a choice. Anyways, back to endometriosis. I'm sorry for getting off topic. So what are some of the symptoms? I had to write this down because, again, I knew I might just leave some of the things, but I thought it's important to note down as many symptoms as possible, so that if there's anyone out there, if I could help even one person, I'll be glad that I did something right, that I gave somebody something. Because it's the same case. If I hadn't seen this lady on YouTube, I would have never known about, maybe I would have known through another channel, I don't know, but it's through this same YouTube, through this lady who put herself out there and spoke about it, that I got to know about endometriosis. And if the people who are suffering from this don't talk about it, then the world won't know about it, because it's so sad. According to statistics, 1 out of every 10 women is suffering from endometriosis, and very few people know about it, because we are brought up thinking some people just are given the, what do you call, they were handed the wrong, some people are just handed that by fate. They're like, oh, some people have pain during the period, some people don't have pain. It is not okay. You're not supposed to have pains during a period. And that's just it. So some of the things I wrote was constant constipation, which I would have, well, not, what do I say, which I would have, which I have most of the time. I would say 10 days out of the month, I wouldn't be constipated, but the rest of it, I would be constipated, having this issue or the other issue. Bloating all the time. You are full of gas and you can't even pass out gas because it's painful. My God, it's like someone is pricking you with a needle. It's painful. You can't even pass gas, although you're bloating. Diarrhea. Every time I would have diarrhea, I would know my menstruation period is going to start in the next 2 or 3 days, and that would last until the end of my periods. Mark you, you're having diarrhea, but you have pain every time you're having bowel movements. So it's yeah. Pelvic pains. I would have pain, especially for me, it's the left side of my pelvic, and that would go of my stomach, or rather, yeah, down there, and the pain would go all the way down to my legs. There's sometimes when I wouldn't even be able to stand up because of the excruciating pain. So yeah, let's leave it at that. We are talking about the symptoms. There is nausea until vomiting. That one, for me, I would have nausea, but still, I thank God that I would have pain sometimes that I would feel I'm going to vomit. I would be nauseated, but vomiting is something that wasn't so frequent. It would happen sometimes, but it wouldn't happen that often. But when it comes to nausea, I was nauseated most of the time. what do I have here? Yeah, pain during intercourse. Yup, I know what that feels like, because you have pain. We are all adults here. If you're not an adult, there's a reason why you clicked on this video. So I'm just hoping, whichever way you look at it, you take this information and use it to help a sister out there, use it to help a mother out there, use it to help a girl out there, use it to help somebody out there. But yeah, during intercourse, I don't know how other people. Hey, sorry, my camera decided to die on me. Yeah, but you'd feel like there are some positions you can't. There are some positions you just can't, because let's leave that at that. What are some of the symptoms? What else? Infertility. Infertility is actually one of the common first symptoms, because most people have infertility and then you go to the doctor, and after so many what are Untersuchungen called of English? Untersuchung, yeah, they figure you have endometriosis. This is why I'm grateful that I had my kid when I had her. Like I always say, everything happens for a reason. So I thank God I had my kid before this got worse to the fertility, because after that, infertility, because after that I really tried to having a kid, but it never worked. And looking back, I can only draw it to endometriosis, because I don't have any other explanation. Well, it's not like I'm looking for a kid right now, but another thing about it is you realize you are you don't there's some foods that you just can't take. I love having creams, foods with creams, and I love that. And anytime I eat that, I eat it preparing myself for bloating, because I know 100% sure I'm going to be having bloating. I'm going to be bloated. I'm going to have diarrhea. I'm going to be having constipation. So there are times I just decide, you know what, I'll deal with this. I'll deal with the pain this time, but I got to eat this. I mean, otherwise you don't have a life. You don't have a life. Well, I think this video is longer than I expected it to be, but I'll just go on with this so that I can get it out of the way. If there's somebody who has questions, you can put them in the comments down there, or you can get in touch with me in Instagram, and we can talk or discuss about further things about endometriosis. Now, what about the therapies? The therapies that are open for endometriosis right now, there are some people, like I said, you have endometriosis, but you can manage it with pain medication. There are some people who will take pain medications and they'll be okay with that, and they'll be pain-free. I don't know if they're completely pain-free or if they have manageable pain. I can't tell you that. But I know there are some people who have, despite having endometriosis, are able to take pain medications and they're good to go. Another therapy is birth control. Like I said, I went to a few gynecologists who gave me birth control medication, but it didn't work for me. Apparently it works for some people, and that's good. Another, laparoscopy, and but the sad thing about this is these tissues will build up again, because just because they are removed doesn't mean you're done with your menstrual periods. So every time you're having a menstrual periods, they're shedding again. So it's surgery, but you'll still have that coming back. Another thing you can do is hysteroscopy. And when I went to this gynecologist at that time, after I'd known what endometriosis is, and I was glad she knew what I'm suffering from. And I was like, according to the research I've done and according to what I've read in the internet, I've read that whatever or pains you do, the tissues still keep coming back. So me, I don't want to go under the knife 100 times. Can you just please take off my ovaries? I just want to be done with this. I just want out. And she was like, no, let's not jump to the extremes. And she wrote for me a medicine called Visane. This is a lifesaver, or this was a lifesaver. She wrote for me this medicine, and after like a week, I was completely a different person. My pains very much manageable. I had a life. My God, I had a life. I had a life. Like, yeah. I was so glad to be pain-free. However, just like any other medicine, this medicine helped me a lot with my endometriosis. However, it has side effects. And some of the side effects that I personally experienced were like migraine, mood swings, depression. Well, this even my husband and my daughter complained about, because I would have terrible mood swings. What else can I think of? But in everything, I was glad I don't have the excruciating pains that I would have. Right now, when I was taking this Visane, I would take Ibus. I would take not Ibus. What is it called? I would take Novocaine, and I would last the whole day. I'm good to go. Before this, Novocaine would do nothing for me. Novocaine was nothing. After 30 minutes, I would again be having this stupid, unexplainable pain that I don't know how to explain. There's some things you really can't explain. You have to experience. So I've taken this from the time I was diagnosed. That was last year around summer, when Corona was doing crazy things, and because of the side effects, I spoke with my family, and you were like, I have to go back and see if there's any other therapy that I could use, or any other medicine that I could use that doesn't have the same effects. I was like, let me go and see if I'll have another therapy. So I went back to my gynecologist, and I spoke to her, and I told her what was happening with the therapy, and she was like, okay, we could stop this medicine for like 3 months. Actually, that was last month, because 3 months would be, according to that, would have been January now. We could stop this for 3 months, and then you tell me how you feel during this 3 months period, and then we'll go from there. And I was like, okay, fine. Literally, I know I had forgotten how it feels like to have endometriosis. Even on the medicine, it's written, when you stop taking this medicine, I mean, on the BiPAC, it's written, when you stop taking the medicine, the symptoms will come back. I stopped taking the Visane, and after 2 days, I was like, no, this is no life. I don't want this anymore. I had forgotten completely how that feels. So on Monday, I went back, and she's like, Frau Nyanda, you came back so early. I thought I was going to see you in January. I'm like, you know what? I had forgotten what this pain feels like. No, I want my medicine back. Either you give me another therapy, or just give me my medicine back. I don't care about the Nebenwirkungen. I don't care about the Nebenwirkungen. Give me the tablets. I don't want to live like this. And so she wrote me she prescribed the Visane again. and prescribed also some herbal, what is it called, some herbal, is it called herbal? Of Dutch is called pflanzliche. I'm assuming that's herbal. Actually, it should be herbal. Some herbal tablets that are supposed to help me with the mood swings, and I'm really hoping that that works. But I was like, if there's nothing, because she told me it's either I take this medicine that she gave me, because honestly speaking, I also checked the internet and I didn't get, I've heard just positive about Visane, and even when I went to her asking for another therapy, but at the back of my mind, from what I have seen until now, Visane seemed to be the medicine that's working best for almost everybody. So I didn't expect anything different from what she told me. She was like, either Visane, because that's, I can tell you that's what works with most people, or you have to live with the pain and just know you have something in you that you can't change, and try with pain medicine. I'm like, I told you pain medicine that work on me. And she was like, I wouldn't advise you to go for a surgery, because the surgery will help you for the while, maybe a year, maybe two, but then this will come back and it will just be a process. It's a repeat of the same of the same thing again and again. So no, I don't want to go for 100 surgeries. If I found a solution that's working for me, I'll take the medicine. I'd rather take the tablets than go for some OP that will just help me for a bit and again come back. So for me, I don't want any surgeries. And I'm like, if it really gets worse, I honestly wouldn't mind doing a hysteroscopy. I wouldn't mind doing that. But of course, that is something you have to discuss with your family. You have to discuss with your husband. But for me, I know for sure if this medicine won't work with me, I'm definitely going to get rid of this damn ovary if that's what's causing my problems. Yeah. So that is my story about endometriosis. I really hope I helped somebody out there. And yeah, like I said, when was it I went to the doctor? Was it on Tuesday? On Tuesday, yeah. On Tuesday I went to the doctor. I got the prescriptions. I got the medicine came in yesterday, and from yesterday I've been taking it. So I'm still in pain, but I know it will take a while. But having experienced this before, I believe I'm heading in the right direction and I'll be just fine. So you have a sister, you have a mother, you have a daughter, you have a cousin, whoever it is, any woman in your life who is going through painful menstruals, please see a doctor. It is not okay that we normalize pain. Pain should not be normalized. It is not okay. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your health, and I wish you well. I'll see you in my next. Bye-bye.